Welcome to the November 1st, 2023 Open Conservation Commission meeting. This is a reminder, this is an open public meeting and you are subject to being recorded. Your voice and image will be recorded should you choose to speak. All right. First, review of minutes from the previous meeting. Good job, Meg.
Thank you.
Anybody have any comments, corrections? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to accept the meeting, the minutes.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I cannot vote because I'm not.
right.
And do we need to vote on the October 4th meeting minutes? Because we did not.
Did we, well, if we did not, yes.
Yeah.
So we need to vote on the October 4th minutes as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 4th minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And do we have a treasurer's update? Not
We
yet?
do not, no.
Okay. All right, excellent. Bills and forms.
Forms. All right. Well, checking the mailbox today, we got KP Law for some more Carter Street stuff.
Excellent. All right, well, at least this one's a little bit easier to take. So it's $163.30. Yep, just more Carter Street legal stuff.
Is that coming out of open space?
Coming out of open space, yes. Can I have a motion?
Motion, we pay it. I move we pay it. Approve it.
Second.
Recognize it, whatever it takes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. There you go.
Do you have an extra?
Oh, I have an extra.
Oh,
And,
to the truck.
Anything else?
That pretty much does it for bills and forms.
Okay, great. Any more mail, emails, notices?
So there was the tree that fell on Great Oak Farm Trail.
Right.
So I know that got emailed to both Walter and Kyle.
Yep.
Potentially clean.
Well, Walter, you asked where a better idea of where that was, and
I got it,
you got
yeah.
that? Okay.
right off Shirley Hill Road there,
Yep.
yeah.
So will one of you be able to take care of it?
I'll get it tomorrow.
Okay, awesome.
I can
Thank
come
you.
out after 10 and have an appointment. If you want.
It's just a one-man job, it can't be anything.
All right. Anything else?
And the other thing was the Highland Ridge Woods Bridge.
Right. Dan.
Yeah. So basically, they were just saying they just plopped some planks over the stream, and we're hoping to improve the crossing. Let's see. So I think they were kind of wondering if they needed to file an NOI. Is that right?
I think that is what he asked.
Yeah.
Right, but I believe we have a blanket NOI for trail work.
Mm-hmm.
So he does not need to file an additional one. So, and I assume he'll let us know when he's looking. He actually likes to do the bridges on his own, but
Mm-hmm.
if he wants help, so we'll just reply back.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. And anything else?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. All right. I did speak to Judy Schmidt this afternoon, the head of the Central Mass DEP, and she said that Maplewood is looking good. They've done the final grade and seeded around the areas near the wetlands, and that it's looking good, and they're contemplating lifting the soil importation ban, and she will let us know that they will probably lift it conditionally, and they'll let us know what those conditions
Mhm.
are. But that it's looking good.
How long ago did they ban that?
Oof, I think it was July.
Okay, I
I think
was
it
gonna
was
say, I
this
didn't
summer,
remember that. I
yeah.
wasn't here for that.
Yeah. Yep. Highland Ridge, we will get to. So CSX, one thing I do know is, so one of the things in their filing is they didn't have a book and page number or anything to identify the area where the derailment happened. Because apparently train land isn't identified that way. So they sent somebody to the Registry of Deeds to try and nail something down, and they were unsuccessful. So what did he say about how that was gonna?
Yeah, so I reached out to Tom Rabula
Mhm.
and copied Jonathan on it too, and haven't heard back from Tom yet.
Okay.
I do have a set of order conditions for us to like sign, but I'm not sure.
For CSX?
Yeah, not sure how to
I know, right?
handle the deed book.
Yeah, let's wait.
Okay.
Let's wait until we get some firmer answers
Okay.
on that. All right. We have 2 more minutes. Does anybody have any 2 minutes worth of anything?
Can we talk about the land donation, or is that a longer conversation?
I actually don't think that that's gonna happen tonight.
Okay.
I put it on just in case. Mark Rhodes has a piece of land that he's looking to donate, I believe on Dudley. And he is working on pulling all the paperwork together. So that's what that's about.
Okay.
I was hopeful that it was gonna be ready for tonight, but, cause he wants to try to get it accepted by us and the select board by the end of the year for
Okay.
tax purposes, so. I told him, get cracking, we have 3 meetings left. So, we shall see how that ends up, so we'll just carry that to the next meeting, so that we're ready when he's ready.
7:15.
All right, excellent. And Ben. Oh, no,
Oh,
Jeremy.
Jeremy, yep.
Jeremy, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Should I join you at the table?
Yes, come on up.
Hello.
How are you?
I've spoken with some of you on email.
Yes,
I'm doing
that
well.
was me.
Evening.
I'm Carolyn.
Hi,
This is
Carolyn.
Maddie.
Nice to meet you.
Um,
So I'm Jeremy Herman. I am a den leader for the Hudson Cub Scouts, Pack 3104 to be specific. And we're interested in possibly making use of the conservation land on River Road West by the Rotary for a rocket launch opportunity. So this came to mind for me because I launched there as a kid, actually, with the Cub Scouts, or maybe it was Boy Scouts, I can't remember which one it was, but that was in the 90s. So I'm not sure if it's been used for much since then or for the same purpose. But I do have some pamphlets here. There's a few packets there. Just some more information. I'll talk to this. You don't need to read through it necessarily. But I know there's some interest. Anytime someone talks about rockets, especially safety related. So I do belong to a club in Massachusetts called Central Massachusetts Space Modeling Society, or CMAS. They are a National Association of Rocketry affiliated club. What that means is they follow a very specific set of codes and rules when it comes to the safety and management of a safe launch event. It's actually one of the most attended clubs in the country. Surprising, especially considering out west they have much more flat, open, wide space without trees. But I myself, I've launched over 200 model rockets in the last few years. COVID got me into doing something different.
Sure.
Got me into doing it with my kids especially. It was something we could do outdoors, have a lot of fun with it. I am a member of the NAR, the National Association of Rocketry. What that means is if I follow the NAR code, if something should happen, very unlikely, but if something should, I have a significant amount of liability insurance covered by that association. our pack for the Cub Scouts started doing the rocketry events last year. So we've attended 3 of the CMAS events. We've had about 15 to 25 scouts attend, depending on which event it was. They all built their own rocket. These are examples of what they built. These are kits you can buy. It's a hobby. It is not all custom. Plenty of people do custom stuff. We provide model rocket engines. So this is actually a live engine. You require a very specific electrical impulse to get it to set off, so it's safe to handle. This will send this up about 200 feet. Not terribly high, but a lot of excitement for the kids. The rockets do come down on a parachute then. I know there were some questions about the Aspet River, concerns about maybe it drifting. That can happen. That field, if you actually flip over, the field by dimensions is significantly bigger than what's recommended by the NAR code. So that's the picture on the bottom left. They recommend field size based on engine type. We fly A and B engines, so 2 of the smaller ones on there. 200 by 200 square feet, so what's recommended for a B engine. The field there is 1,000 feet almost by 700 feet. It's actually very similar in size to what the club uses in Acton, Massachusetts at, I think it's just called Acton Fields on School Road. Flying on these engines in that field, they're not gonna drift out of sight. They're gonna land on the field safely. I highlighted a bunch of stuff in blue. This is the NAR safety code. I just wanted to highlight some key items that we'll make sure we follow so everything is safe and recovered. The biggest risk is some litter in the form of recovery wadding. It's basically toilet paper soaked in, I think, baking soda. It makes it non-flammable. There's an ejection charge that pushes up the parachute. It just protects all that. And then this comes down. If we don't pick it all up, it biodegrades as soon as some rainwater hits it. It falls right apart. Other things is just keeping safe distance. So the last page in here, there's some pictures from our club launch. You can see the bottom, the top right is a parent and the child setting up a rocket on what's called a launch rod. So we'll have 3 or 4 of those probably if we hold an event just for the pack. It's basically, there's a little straw on the side that goes on there. That makes sure a pointy side goes up when the rocket goes off. If the wind is too high, we won't launch, because that's the other part you have to factor in. It's mostly going to want to go straight up, but if it's windy, obviously it's going to go left, right, wherever. So if it's too windy, it's just or rainy, it's a canceled event. But overall, we've had a lot of fun. Our pack, our scouts have accounted for over 100 club launches. The club loves having them there. The problem is the club flies on one Saturday a month, and it's usually a holiday weekend. So a lot of our pack is out of town on those weekends, and sad they can't take part. And we just like to make sure we keep the kids interested and entertained. Trying to think if there's any other highlights. Oh, also just, as a pack, whenever we do something as an event, I think this is true of just about all Cub Scout packs, Boy Scouts, or Scouts BSA as it's now known. It's a we leave it better than we found it type scenario when we rent a place, borrow a place, whatever it may be. So we'll do a full field sweep, clean up, pick up any trash that was there when we got there, and certainly anything that we brought with us. Make sure it's better than when we left.
What is the chemical compound in propellant?
So these ones, they're made by a company called Estes. They're pretty much the only nationwide distributor. They can still buy them in some stores. Hobby Lobby sells them at this point, pretty much is it. It's black powder is what they use for theirs. There are bigger rocket motors, so these are called low power. Anything once you get, it's all letter grade. Once you get further down the alphabet, you get into mid power, then high power. We will not be flying anything like that. The highest we would fly is, I might bring some of my rockets or some of the other parents that would take a D motor. If you saw on there, that says it's 500 by 500. I wouldn't fly one of them in a field that small. So it would all depend on the day and the weather. If I would even think about flying one, because they go higher, go a little faster. But same thing, comes down on a parachute, nice and safe and slow. Just hopefully not landing in a tree.
Awesome. Well, thank you
I
for.
I don't have a specific date, but we're thinking of the spring. So again, this is more for consideration on would we be open to do it on the
Sure.
property. We can, if the answer is yes, it could be, is there a rental fee or anything that would be involved? And my only other concern was parking. It looks like it would just be street side. I don't think there's a lot associated with that conservation land for hiking or.
So there is some parking at the apartments
Okay.
right up against the field, that is for public use.
Oh, there is,
of
okay.
that field, yeah.
Oh, so like over here,
So-
along the apartments?
Yeah, I think it's right, see where the path that goes over?
Yes,
I think
yep.
it's right near there,
Okay,
yeah.
How many vehicles would you expect to show up?
So I think like I said, we had about 15 to 25 scouts show up for our events, and a lot of those were families. So I'd say probably I'd say similar amount of vehicles at the most, 15 to 25, and not all at once. It would be a 4-hour event. Show up, launch as many or as few as you want, and then
Is
leave.
this one-time event or every week, every month?
Oh, it would be a one time in the spring, and then maybe again in the fall if the kids have fun.
Well,
Yeah.
that makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, it
We
wouldn't
need
be.
those fields, and it's agriculture.
Okay,
Active
yep.
agriculture in them, you know, we don't wanna be running around in them.
Yep. So that, and just to be clear, they would be moving around on the field. We'd set up a spot in the center. There would be a minimum 2 adults at all times, as a launch control officer and a range safety officer. That's part of the NAR operates to make sure that there's 2 active people making sure everyone else is listening and following the rules.
What would be the month that you'd begin there?
April at the earliest. April to May. Once we get into June, again, scouts start going on vacations and such. So.
What's the latest they could go? Like, when does it start growing?
Well, I was gonna call, people that are haying it and ask them what they think about that.
Okay.
Yeah, first cutting's usually May, right?
Yeah. Yeah, first cutting's usually May.
Well, I guess I should ask you, how long is it coming out of the winter? Is that at its shortest and it just starts to grow, or?
Well, they just mowed it, they just hayed it, so.
They just hayed it, yeah.
Yeah, it won't grow through the winter.
Right, through the
Sure.
winter, right.
Right.
It
So, but
sounds
if
very
they
sim-
went in after the first haying,
Or before
Yeah,
it starts to
yeah, that
grow,
would
like if
work.
they went in.
right, either,
Really
either
early.
end, yeah,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah, it would also be very specific too, in terms of we do an assessment to make sure that it's not ultra dried out, which if winter's anything like this summer was, it won't be.
Right.
Is that field between the, community gardens and Northbrook large enough?
I don't know.
A lot of cars and activity around there, you know, and doesn't produce much hay.
Right,
Is this across
So-
from the old driving range?
further
No,
down the
kind of.
road towards the
Further
mall.
down the road, okay.
So on the same side,
Okay.
so with your, orienting with your picture,
Yep.
here are the apartments.
Yes,
And then, here's the restaurant, and then the community gardens here, and then the road to the mall is kind of over here, so
Right.
it would, it's like here.
okay.
That's a lot smaller, I think, isn't it?
I think so,
Yeah.
and closer to the road.
Yeah.
So let's first, does anybody have any objections in general?
Do we require liability waivers for stuff like this? I know
No,
you said,
it's-
mentioned some insurance, but.
No, there's a law that I cannot think of at the
Oh,
moment.
that's right, okay, yeah.
In Massachusetts, that
Mhm.
public can use
Yeah,
land for, and it is for recreation, so.
Mhm.
okay.
Yep. So we're good there. So in general, other than any specific timing, does anybody have any,
Oh.
any? Good, all right, excellent.
And if any other
Um,
questions come up, I've left my contact info here. I've reached out. to
Right,
somebody
and
via
I,
email.
yes,
Yep.
I have your email. So if you'll reach out to the people that hay that and just find out if there would be a better time, especially in this, well, and in the fall, so if they just hayed.
Yeah.
Right, so just kind of find out the timing of it, and we'll get that to you, and if it works, it works.
Yep.
And that would be great, and
Excellent.
if not, thanks for the education about rockets.
Yeah.
Do you have any
Another
temperature
question you-
restrictions for those launchers, like?
No.
If it was cold, okay.
No, so this past weekend, the club had their launch, and they'll launch again in a couple weekends up in Amesbury. And it
Okay.
actually sounds very similar. They do it before the first haying, and then after. So we launch in Acton through the summer in that field, and then, but in April, and then in October, November, up in Amesbury, Woodsum Farm.
You see it as using a corner of it, like towards where the apartments are, or getting out in the middle of the field?
So it'll depend on whatever way the breeze is blowing, but yeah, we'd set up to account for that. Ideally, closer to the center is better, but it also might just depend what way the wind's blowing.
Right. All right, awesome. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate
And,
that.
Yeah, I
The
hope
consideration.
the timing works out. I'd love to be able to support the Scouts.
All right, great.
Yeah?
All right, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right. Everybody come up. Yeah, okay. Whoever plans on presenting anything.
John, Andy, Stephen Benacasa. Which chair blows up? Matt Marrow is here. This one?
Alex, did you sign in?
I'm sorry?
Did you sign in?
No, I didn't.
Thank you.
Right.
It was a safe chair. You already sat here. I can't explode.
Hey, how are you, Richard?
Thank you. Brian?
You want me to sign in, Carol?
Sure, that'd be great, thank you. And Matt and Brian, did you guys sign in?
Yeah, obviously.
I'll show you my personal.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Holly, can you
Yeah.
just move your, no, just move your microphone so that whoever is sitting there is gonna be able to share.
I'm pretty loud. I can have mine.
Yeah. Well, hopefully no one will get loud tonight.
In general, I'm loud.
Get in the way of maps.
Yeah, well,
Plans.
that's what I was saying when
Yeah.
Brittany was standing here wondering, I was like, we have plans often, like the ones right there.
Yeah.
So,
I see
all
we
right.
had the willpower bowl tonight.
Pardon?
The willpower bowl.
Yes.
Oh, clearly I have no willpower.
All right. Well, I'm trying to figure out exactly where to start. Thank you. I know.
Did you read Mr. Garner's comments about a half hour ago on that?
Absolutely not. That is why we like things a couple days ahead of time. I got out of
Yeah.
work, I went home, I had dinner, and I came here. So, I did not. All right. So, I guess let's start with your plan.
Well, first off, we know we have some issues to work out there. Everyone agrees with that.
Indeed.
Building code issues and conservation stuff on the.
So, well,
This is just a preliminary concept drawing. They'll get formal ones to you guys.
right,
But
and I just slide it over and.
basically, this is just a concept of what we're talking about going forward. This side of the project is where we have some building code, with the grading has to come down a little bit. Some of the units, as discussed, we can lower with ice and water shield, and it has minimal micro grading away from the building, and it will meet the code. Some of them, we have to do a little more grading, which will require removing the grass and so on and so forth. They we've already pointed those out. We're doing a drone flying on Friday, weather permitting, of the entire property to get elevations of real time today. And then, John, we can put it onto a plan and then have spot grades everywhere showing what elevations need to change. That work over here, the siding and the ice and water shield could happen relatively quickly. I would think about any regrading of taking up real grass, we wait till after the winter, just because there's no way to stabilize it properly going into the winter. There's nothing I could do. Jute netting only takes us so far.
Right.
So that would take care of this section, the conservation side, where we have a lot of erosion, and everyone's been talking about a lot lately. The gutters have already been put in, the pipes have already been put in there through that backside to take off that heavy runoff.
On
And-
all of those buildings?
No, just that first one.
Okay.
Correct,
The one
John?
that we saw,
Right,
Kinda
which I
nitpicky
thought
walk.
was one of these, so.
it
Was
was,
it that one?
yeah.
Okay,
Because that's where that wall is.
yeah,
So to make sure nothing was running towards the wall, we were capturing all the downspouts and piping it along, and that's where, and then we're gonna be adding, and Andy can tell you, some additional erosion control on that, because that's probably not
What
gonna
I,
get fully
yeah,
stable.
Sergeant, what I came up for the winter, because obviously, we know that's regrading has to be done here. There's real steep swales, it's loose material. This time of year, as everyone agrees, nothing's gonna hold. So if we went back to stabilization, we have the hay bale line existing already in there. It's actually double road. And then we could put the wood chips back like that was there before when Pat recommended it through the board. We put all wood chips through here. And that filtered the water and slowed it down and didn't let it scour anything. It worked very well. So if we went 10 to 12 feet off the hay bale line, re-wood chip it, which they're still there, they're just covered with loam and runoff, but re-wood chip it, and then continue jute netting wherever it's missing. Like I know we have between the houses on most of the slopes, and put it wherever it's required. These slash lines would be a jute netting with a straw wattle in front of it. Not a solution, it's to get through the winter for stabilization, just to hold it, because there's nothing we can do here until after the winter.
agreed.
And then as far as the dredging, they're working on a plan right now with Pat and everyone else talking about a dredging area to, like we had done before. Pat had emails of it before. In the beginning, we pumped it all out through the outlet control. That's why the two holes are at lower. Filter basket with extra riprap we put out here. So again, it wouldn't scour the wetlands. If we pump that out, obviously after the winter, when everything calms down, we've had a heavy amount of rain, pump that out. We go back in, take all the loam and silt that washed in again, bring it back down to the elevation it's supposed to be at, and then it will be reseeded and restabilized. That would be, again, after the winter. Once all of this, I would recommend we wait on this until this is stabilized, so it doesn't happen again. So I guess it's two-sided. The one side is the conservation side, which is over here, which we're dealing with, and then there's building code stuff over here we'll address. So again, some of them just minor ice and water shield, little regrade. Some of it's more extensive, which that's we'll have the plan done. The drone flies out Friday. If we, perfect world, we get that back in a week to 2 weeks, so 3 weeks max, we can have a plan drawn and get it out to everybody. Again, it's not work that would happen right now, short of the siding repairs and small ones, but at least we could have a set of plans with elevations and present it that way. So to move forward with the project, I didn't know if we set we did a value on this work to repair what's here. And again, someone could check it on their own, but I came up with $75,000 is what my number was to repair this area, to make it the way it should be, including this over here. And then I said if we took it times 100%, so made it $150,000, if we posted a bond to the commission for $150,000 to hold until this work was satisfied. So that way things can start to move forward on the rest of the project. I don't know if that's an option we were going to discuss.
So, I can tell you what I have found out as the day has gone on about that.
Okay?
So because I'm not, a bond is a little bit above my pay grade. So I called the town administrator and asked, asking for some input and support about how to handle that. And she contacted town council, who recommend that we not accept a bond.
Really?
So that is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take advice of town council and not let that be the solution. The other phone call that I had this afternoon after work is I talked to Judy Schmidt at DEP, and she pointed out to me that the order of conditions for this job expired last May of 2023. So, there's a little bit more going on than what we all thought when we all sat down.
Okay?
So,
Didn't we renew it though?
they didn't renew it though. They didn't ask for it.
I thought,
Yeah, I came in.
yeah, he came in and we renewed it this,
You
Yeah,
did?
we did.
Yeah.
And for how long? Did we do it for like,
I think it was another year we
Was
went
it
on
a year?
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah.
The DEP didn't get this?
DEP didn't get that, no. And I had forgotten about that because it was just Brian now. Not because it was just Brian, but,
How can you forget Brian?
right. I do remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
It was just this past spring that we did it,
right,
this May, right?
right.
Yeah.
One hurdle solved.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I checked
That
that,
was,
just,
Wow.
yeah,
scratch
yeah.
that
So-
one out.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll get a digital copy over to them. I'm
That would be
assuming
good.
There's one in our file.
yeah,
And
So-
we'll just check the timeline too, because if we only did it for a year, we're probably gonna need to
Yeah, we'll
extend
probably
it beyond.
extend
right, right. So, in light of town council's advice, we did write the stop work order that work to remediate the site could continue. And so, and we're gonna continue down that path.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, town council have a reason why they wouldn't accept a bond? Most towns put up bonds in the beginning of a job just to hold the security so the work gets completed properly.
I think that's different than when there's issues. You know, that's more of an insurance, but when there's issues, I mean, frankly, what town council said is it could still be a dollar amount that's worth walking away from. And leaving the town with money to do repairs, but the responsibility to do repairs on private property.
Would it work if there was a
And
third-party
that's-
engineer that did a takeoff for it, like
I
Grafton uses
am just
Graves?
going by
I'm just
what
curious.
town council said.
Bonds
Yeah.
are usually for town utilities or town-owned property. So it being a private residence, doesn't really pan out that way.
Okay.
Like when you pave a road, you have a bond.
Yeah.
You do town sewer bond.
They usually have third-party, like, for example,
Right.
Graft has third-party, and they do a value of what's worth, and they release X amount as the bond goes on, but again, that's for town acceptance where you
Right,
guys are taking
exactly.
this.
Yep.
Can I just say,
You can say whatever you want.
No, I'm not arguing with you.
Thank you.
I understand you're gonna follow town council's advice.
Correct.
My only question to you is, who is town council, so that we can have a conversation?
We can email it to you.
Yeah, we can get
Okay,
you
okay.
their contact information. Yep.
On a separate note, does this seem acceptable for winter stabilization? At least so we don't have any further conservation issues?
I'd like to run it by Pat before I say
Yep.
yes.
Okay.
You can snap that and get sent electronically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Send it to everybody
And,
electronically. Again, most of this is already in place, but it
Sure.
would just be reassuring it and extending it a little bit and knowing we can get through the winter.
Right.
This side doesn't require anything for conservation because there's no water issues within buildings. It's just a depth, am I correct to say the depth of the most,
The height between finished grade
Correct.
and wood. and-
but no one's experiencing a water problem right now. So I don't see any point in disrupting the really nice grass and creating a potential issue for runoff.
For
We'll
the
leave that
winter,
alone.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So this is the only concern right now.
I have a question. You said wood chips. Is that the kind of long?
Engineered.
Is it?
It's just straight up wood chips. You get it from the sawmills. We did it before when Pat came out with us, and that's what he recommended. We did this whole slope width originally, and it came way up to almost the back of the houses at that point because there were no houses there for that first year and a half.
Yep.
And it's a steep slope. There's no way around it. So Pat recommended. I think it was one of the meetings we talked about too. We put it all wood chips in there. Excuse me, over a foot thick. And through that entire time, and Pat's videos prove it, there was nothing running off into that wetlands at all. The entire time that wood chips was installed.
Right.
Because it hits it, goes slower, filters through it, and by the time it gets to the bottom of the wood chips, it was almost, let's call it clean water coming out.
And the wood chips will absorb a certain
A lot
amount
of
of
it,
it too,
correct.
yeah.
So that's why he recommended that.
Yep.
And that was back almost 2 years ago.
So this road right here is supposed to be an access
To the pond.
to the pond. I know that there's propane tanks buried between a bunch of the buildings. Is there there?
That I'd have to double check. Brian, between 37 and 39, there is one there? There is one there. But there's enough room on either side that you could still go beside them without driving over it. There's only one green cover in the middle, and they're set up that you can drive right over that. Nothing would hurt it. It would go either side of the cover. There's still access to get out there.
So you would drive a truck down there on that
A
access?
pickup truck, sure. I mean, a 10-wheeler, probably not. because that slope is still pretty steep coming out to
Right,
here,
that's what I
levels
was
out
saying.
here.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's no way, we can't, taking that grade out, I mean, you're going from 410 to 404. That, there's no, I wouldn't take like a 10-wheeler or a triaxle down there, but a pickup truck or something to that effect.
Bobcat or.
Yeah, absolutely. And then realistically, no one's really gonna drive down. If anything, they'll come over and they'll walk in through here.
Well, isn't the purpose of that for access to be able to maintain the basin?
Correct, but you can also, this way is a very easy access coming through here. It's almost dead flat right through here. So you could, I guess you could access from either side.
That's actually what I recommended in my basin cleanup plan, was to access between units 15 and 17.
That's where we came
Come
in before
this
we did
way
it.
And take care of it from there. There was some temporary stabilization techniques that I spoke about in my report. I had also mentioned hydroseeding. That was the only issue Mr. Garner had with the report, was he wanted to see something along the lines of mulch, matting for the winter time, stabilization, hydroseeding in the spring. Otherwise, he was fine with everything else I wrote here.
Did you get the snow storage plan, the snow removal plan?
Yeah, I sent that, I
Yeah,
think,
I
over the
thought,
weekend.
didn't you, I thought
Yeah,
you
we
forwarded
forwarded
that to everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
So essentially what I did when I was, I divided it into 4 different zones. So, like, the first zone would take care of, if I can just,
So what's-
yeah, if that would be okay.
Yeah,
How quickly you up to Hudson.
right?
Going for the parking lot.
I'll say
Okay, so I divided it up into 4 zones. Coming in off of Highland,
Which is
like
down.
down that way, I called it Zone 1, over by the post office boxes. There's a large space behind there where just that small section can be temporarily stored that way. The second zone, essentially being, there's a accessory parking lots over in this direction. So this part of Wheeler Street, or Wheeler Hill Road, would be stored over in that section
Is
there.
that the one there?
No, I'm talking about over here. There's,
Okay.
if you actually, it's not shown on the plans, but if you actually looked at it from an
Okay.
ortho photo, there's accessory parking lots
Yeah.
here. And temporarily store them there. This part of Spofford Road going up to the basin, there's a turnaround right here. You can basically store in this area. This part of Campbell, this part of Wheeler, you can store partly in part of the parking lot on the rec center and then around. Now, this is designed to be for storms that are in like 6 inches or more, 24-hour in duration. And what would happen is within 48 hours after the storm is done, that would then be taken off-site. Now, if there's an emergency like a blizzard and snow has to be stored on site, I did note in the plan that under no circumstances is access to the rec area to be blocked off. So even though part of the parking lot would be stored, they'd have to find an alternate area behind it to continue to store. Reason being is if there are power losses and, you know, or there is damage to one of the units and they needed to use the rec center as a shelter or some type of a gathering center, you know, for the residents to deal with any conditions from a blizzard, that be open. That's basically it. I mean, it's 6 inches actually in an area like this isn't too bad of a snowstorm, so we kept the standard, the minimum threshold, pretty strict. But in order for, you know, any of that to work, you have to remove snow, period. So I put a 48-hour max time to remove the snow.
Now, you might, Commissioner might be more privy to this information than me, but wouldn't the snow storage not be allowed to include the accessory parking? The accessory parking is its own element, along with the cul-de-sac and the turnaround for the fire apparatus.
That's
that.
what I was gonna ask. What about
So
emergency?
snow storage should not include any parking spaces. The parking spaces must be accessible at all times. So that's a no-go.
Well, that was the reason why I put in that the snow needs to be removed within 48 hours.
If there's a fire and the fire truck needs to get down there, it doesn't matter if it's 48 hours or not. Right?
Okay, I can move it out of the accessory parking lot. I'll
Yeah,
find another
that would
spot
be
for it.
Proper.
It's fine.
The other thing to keep in mind is the clubhouse is the fire pumps and all your main water pumps are in that clubhouse area, so that needs to be kept cleared through the backside of that building as well. all the
That's, I said access or entrances around that area have to be cleared out. That's why I only said a portion of the parking lot. You know, you have to have emergency vehicles being able to enter. You can't block off access during a snowstorm to that rec center because it could be an emergency area.
Right. Yeah, all those parking spots are included in the cows. So filling spots is in no-go, unfortunately. So that, we'll need a new plan for that, is my point.
All right, and I haven't been able to look at this, and I haven't seen Pat's last comments. So I think you guys just have some more work to do.
Yeah, I can move those. I can
Okay.
find other places for the storage area.
Great.
It's just the way this thing is designed. The only large storage area will be the swale, and I don't like
Right.
dumping in swales.
Yep.
It doesn't work,
Yep.
because there's no way to remove it after.
Correct.
And
You
any
can't.
vegetation will be dead by spring.
Yeah.
That's ice and snow, that's what it does.
Yep. And salt.
Yeah. And pepper. All
Yeah.
right. I just can't.
Next commission meeting is in 2 weeks. So what's that? The 20, oh no, today's only the 1st. So the 15th?
The 15th, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was when we were canceling, no?
No.
Nope, that's December.
December, okay.
Yeah.
This is wild. There's 5 Wednesdays this month.
Yes, we get a free
You
week.
can get a free week.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I have emailed everybody, and my name is Karen Evans from 14 Spofford Road, by the way. And just on behalf of the builders, I wanted to say that, you know, the plans have come out. There are differences in the plans, maybe small. I think the drainage on the road to the wells was there before, and that's been finished and completed. So that part was done in the last week and a half. I'm wondering, did anybody, you are aware of this contingency plan where they showed earnesty to correct all the problems?
Yep.
Goes into quite a bit of detail about it. The only thing I really would like to ask them to do, which has not been done, is that the steep hills behind Wheeler, where the mat is and the jute mats are, it has not been fertilized. It could be done with a hand sprayer. And it
Well,
can't-
this time of year, that's not,
No, we would have a lot of sunny days between now and Christmas. We still
nothing's
would-
gonna grow.
I
There's no
disagree
point,
with that.
there's
I
no
just-
point in putting
no,
down
it would grow.
fertilizer.
A liquid fertilizer would do a tremendous amount on that back hill at this point. We are not gonna have all these frozen days between now and Christmas. The site seems to be doing very well with few exceptions. I think Bill has one, and Karen and John have one. And behind you guys, they're working on it all, they're working on it. I'll tell you, if that jute mat's not fertilized, just like the fields we see when we drive out to 495, they're 30-degree hill there. Their horses are on that hill. And it's fertilized by the horses. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of yellow mat there. And it needs something on that jute. And I don't know whether it's to go after our landscaping people or what, but it needs fertilizer on that mat. You're gonna lose that. You're gonna lose that mat in the winter. It's gonna be ripped to shreds with ice and snow and rain and ice and snow. It's gonna go down those hills and it's gonna rip those mats. And fertilizing them will help. They have not been fertilized. The sod that's been established all over is doing really well and has mitigated a lot of the issues. The swale that they put in has done a tremendous job at drying up. I've walked it regularly and looked for damp spots and sinking holes, and it's all doing very well. Right after torrential rain last Sunday, I walked the whole area, took pictures, photographs if you want them, and it's really doing well. So just on behalf of the builders, I think they're working in earnest to correct these issues. I don't think it's fair to keep a stop work order on them. And I think that we could, you know, I can give you my list. I
That's
can
okay.
email you on my other things that I've said. This is my list. And I emailed everybody about it and I got some responses back.
Thank you.
And, I really think that, I'm doing as best as I can considering winter's
I
coming
wouldn't mind having
on.
a copy of that.
And at the swale, I think we gotta keep an eye out
see
for
what I
ice dams.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Um,
a couple of them.
So I was out there Monday night with John and Richard, Kyle and AJ and Maddie, and there are definitely still some wet spots. And another thing I noticed is between a couple of the buildings over here, somebody's pulled up the wattles. They are physically pulled, the stakes are pulled out of the ground and they are laying on their side.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, and can anybody tell me why?
That was the landscaper.
Okay,
The landscapers, when they came to do some reseeding and hydroseeding, they moved some of those out of the way so they could seed underneath the wattles. I live
Oh.
next to John.
And
Thank
then
you.
put 'em back.
Right, and so, did you go out after it rained?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, and you didn't see that?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. So, any?
Both Patrick and I have seen that.
Okay, and can somebody tell me why they haven't been put back in?
I can't answer that question.
Okay. So,
Yeah, why is one thrown over another going down the hill? Why isn't that fixed?
correct.
One thrown over.
That should be standard practice after every rain event, is that the whole site gets walked. Any silt that's up against the silt fence gets cleaned, any silt fence that's damaged gets repaired, any wattles that are out of place, any jute net, anything, every time, every storm. And, you know, it's that kind of care that, or lack of, that we just keep continuing to see. So I look forward to seeing what the results of the drone. We should run this by Pat.
Yep.
And I think we're done for tonight. Oh, one more question. Yeah.
Right, I can't see the plans, but are they, talked about regrading some of the units, are we talking about the units, Campbell Road, the for Campbell Road? That's
In the spring.
fine,
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
over here.
Yep, yep.
And on about Sunday, I don't know that it rained nearly as hard as some of the storms in the summer to
Correct.
say that the swale is actually working. It rained, but not like we have this summer.
Sure.
Oh, this was the
And may,
Saturday
and may
before
it not, again, you know, like, let's,
It was still about, I think, 0.6 inches.
right, and Monday, I mean, I definitely, there was, it's hard to, we
Over
didn't really pay attention, was it here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so right here, the way this comes down and the way the swale slopes, it's still, there's still a low spot right there that pitches more this way.
I did talk to Scott about that, the landscaper that did it, because he couldn't be here tonight. He said it's straight on to the deck. It does head toward that deck, he agrees. With the grading, he could not get it to break the other way, but it gets within so close of it, and it breaks left and right and comes back into the swale. He said that's the best he could get that to run that point, because he couldn't go any deeper because he'd be below the outfall. So he said he does know what you're talking about. It does run toward the deck, but right before there, it does break and come back into the swale. He just couldn't get it any deeper because he'd be lower than he had to be over here. I did ask him about that after we
Okay,
spoke.
so then a different solution needs to be found?
But the vast majority of that all flows. There was just one spot
Yep,
in there
Yep.
where it was a little puddly.
yep.
A lot of it over here will be micro grading. It's not, it's like even a plan, he can't show a tenth. It's gonna be, a lot of it's gonna be micro grading, doing with a hand rake and just making sure, like we spoke, you got that 1 in 10 coming out. You're not gonna see that with a laser per se. It's gonna
Right.
just be with a hand rake and you're gonna make sure the water's running. And ultimately, what it's gonna be for 60% of that, over that side.
Right. Awesome.
Just need some
Let-
clar- I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I need some clarification on the siding. issue.
Yeah,
and the
yeah, just bring
grading.
that up.
Okay.
Because siding was ripped off the side of my house 2 months ago. And we were sure about a month ago that it was all gonna be taken care of. Given a plan that supposedly came from the building inspector, I don't know.
He's sitting right there.
Yeah, sorry. What's going on? Because it's gonna be 25 degrees tonight, and it's not getting much warmer, so.
Some of the units, they can repair the grading issues by removing the siding, cutting the sheathing back and replacing it with pressure treated wood, or in some cases, ice and water shields, protect the wood from splash back and so on and so forth. Not all units they can do that, some of them are gonna have to actually regrade and possibly still cut the plywood back and put pressure treated wood. So the code requires 8-inch clearance between the finished grade and any regular wood. Now you have a pressure treated bottom sill, so that reduces to 6.5 inches. Sometimes your siding hangs down, so, so if they can get to around 4 inches between finished grade and the bottom of the siding, then the fix of cutting the sheathing back and putting pressure treated wood there and or the ice and water shield would satisfy code. So they've been doing some of them I've approved. When I was there the other night, I saw that they've been working on some other ones that I haven't looked at. But I see what you're saying, that there are some that the siding's been pulled off and some repairs have started. I'm not sure which one yours is.
Yeah, does that work outside of the stop work one?
Yeah.
I would say that's part of the
Yeah.
rectification.
I would say
Yeah,
that's part
that's-
of remediating
Because
the
that, you're gonna
site.
need that before the snow, or
Yeah.
else you're gonna
Yeah.
be.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's considered part of the remediation of the issue.
Again, when we spoke, that was a miscommunication. Ryan, I thought that was part of not letting the siding guys work. We didn't want to be in violation. After speaking, we realized that can be done.
Yep.
So we had talked during Monday, we were gonna have a couple of them done and start getting, next week, we still have some decent weather, to get as many of those done as we can with the ice and water shield. And that way, even if we took a plan and you were just to put a check, okay, 7 was acceptable, 9 is not, 13 is
Yeah,
acceptable.
knocking up the finish would be a good idea. 'Cause-
Yeah, that's what I'm
because
just
Brian
saying.
and I had documented some that were acceptable.
Correct.
And I took photographs of them and I uploaded them onto our portal, so they're stored on electronically with us on the ones, but yeah, it'd probably be easier to mark up a plan,
Yeah.
because otherwise I'd have to.
Even
go
if we
back
just
to
check it
every unit to
initially.
find out which ones were which.
Because we can probably pick off a good chunk of those just by doing what you recommended, and there's some which we know over here I have to do, but a lot of them, we pick them off and you sign off and you're accepted with it, we met code, even if we just checked it, initialed it, that way it makes the look smaller. It just makes the work look smaller when we know that 10 of them's already accepted.
All right.
And that way we get the siding back on too forward.
Can that plan also, as you're knocking through it, be communicated back to the homeowners? Because you don't know who I am, you don't know what unit I'm in,
No, I
I'm
don't.
41, but, just so that we know that it's being addressed, and if there's things that are gonna be, slightly mitigated through the winter, I'd like to know about it before snowfall.
I guess we could leave a copy of it at the clubhouse, so anyone could come in and just look at it. I wouldn't know everyone's own address to show up to everyone, but once they get accepted, we could just leave a copy at the clubhouse, and anyone could see whatever they wanted.
It's not a bad idea, 'cause we could issue them off in the clubhouse and just keep
Yeah.
up.
Why don't you come to
common
the
window.
door?
Was there a comment I did catch?
I have a 57 wheeler, I've got siding all over the place. I mean, no one has come there, no one. It's not just a few things of siding. The frame for the dryer outlet is in the window well. The screw that's supposed to keep it there is in the window well. That's been there that way. I would put money on that some of that siding is damaged already. The lawnmowers have gone over it. The wind has taken it.
Well,
So, guys,
I
you
would
know.
hope and assume that as they put it back together, if there's a damaged piece of siding, I'm sure they have a surplus
Well,
that they can fix.
well, when, tell me
Well,
when.
That's
gonna
the
be
contractor,
that's the
don't put that on
contract.
us.
Tell me when, tell me when, Brian.
When is that, next week?
You know where I am.
I
didn't
think we could work on the building, so we stopped.
Yeah.
Brian didn't know until I spoke to you, he thought it was
Right.
stopped.
So-
Just a phone call
right.
and email.
That's
So-
what we spoke today. I
Yep.
just came in.
So, for clarification, just get in touch with us.
So we will start Monday and take care of as much of the stuff as we can in contact with you. And we will put a couple plans in the clubhouse and get as many people's places buttoned up as possible. Even the ones we can't, we'll put the siding back on.
Yeah.
Even the ones we know, like the model, I'll put it back on, we'll put it back on for now. That way it's buttoned up for winter.
Well, to that point, some of them may be a combination of regrading and.
Correct.
So-
Agreed.
So we can identify those ones separately.
100%.
Maybe a different color marker or something so that when you get back to it in the springtime, we'll say, okay, you still gotta get back to this
At
one.
least we're not revisiting the entire property again come springtime. That's what I'm looking for. Okay.
Linda?
Just one comment, as we still have the stop work order, I want to remind the builder and the management company that they cannot have deliveries of cabinets to 2 rental units that they're trying to rent at number 13 and 15.
And lines were put up as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you get pictures of it.
We do, I have it on my phone.
Been in for a while.
Oh,
I have a
sounds-
picture of it on my phone.
13 and 15, we already got countertops and everything.
I'm not,
They
there
put
was a,
blinds up in it,
what,
too.
Window treatment.
there was a truck on Saturday, and I can show you the picture, at that building.
Might have been, but the cabinet's been in for a couple months.
Brian, I'm just telling you, I have a picture from Saturday
Drapes don't really count.
with wildwood cabinetry in that driveway.
And Ferguson.
Plumbing fixtures
And
count.
window treatment.
Drapes don't count, plumbing fixtures count though.
So just know that although there is a stop work order, some people feel that they're exempt from that.
So who owns the rentals?
The
Gentleman
manager,
over
well, it's being sold, they are being rented through the management company, but I would assume that the builder owns them.
His lawyer's right there, I think you've
Well,
just been notified, right?
He's right there.
Who?
Right-
Steve's
Right
here.
next to the lawyer.
It's Mr. Picasso.
That guy? Hello. Nice to meet you finally. It's nice of you to show up. So now you've been notified.
Thank you.
No more deliveries at your rental.
Or anywhere else.
Around Zillow. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Okay.
community
Yeah.
is pretty well aware.
On the original plan, behind 45 and 47 Wheeler Hill, there was going to be drainage. That has already been put in. There was also supposed to be a yard drain further up, and all of a sudden that's off the plan. So I'm wondering where it went and why it's gone.
That yard drain.
Right there. Well, if it's not necessary with the pitch, if there was a flat spot and it was collecting water, we'd put it in, but with the pitch over there, I don't know that it's necessary. We put in that at the end of the line, figuring there might be some flat area there, but I don't know that it's necessary.
It does still show on the plan.
But it does show in the plan.
The intention, at least if you looked at the property, is it comes down pretty steeply,
Mhm.
and there's a low spot, and that's where I assumed that drain.
I'll take a look at that.
So I would look at it
Is
as
that
a-
an area that can puddle?
I would assume so based on the slope. I'm
Alright.
not on that side, so I don't watch it. But
Okay.
based on the slope, when I walk back there, it looks like, yeah.
All right, we'll take a look. And if it's an area that can, capture water and hold it, with the slopes out there, maybe they thought it wasn't gonna perform any function, but we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, because extending that pipe out, just, not that expensive to do, and the rest of the pipe is already there.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a reasonable,
Right.
thing, we could just put it in place.
John?
Without a bond requirement,
Mm-hmm.
what guarantee do we have these guys gonna come back in spring and do it the same, to be blunt?
The town council advised us not to lift the stop work order.
So that could remain in place throughout the winter?
Correct.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yep,
We're
100%.
supposed to move it today. We're never gonna get it there.
Talk to that guy.
I mean, I understand. I don't understand.
Yep. Anybody else? All right.
Shut the mics off.
Have a good night. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Richard.
Okay, I'm going home now.
It's been a
The last 2 weeks have been tough. My mother-in-law had congestive heart failure followed by a stroke.
Oh, no.
I spent more time writing in a hospital room than I have in my house.
Wow.
It has not been fun.
Yeah, I bet.
Miraculously, she's up on her feet.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jill, you're asking about the bridge.
What's going on with the Highland Trail?
So, as I'm sure, I know you go out walking
Yeah, all the
out
time.
there. So, there's, I'm trying to even remember where on the site. They just
Some
laid
muddy
down,
spots.
right, and they just laid down some planks and called that a bridge. And now that Sudbury Valley Trustees has this land, they want to put in a real bridge. And so that's the deal with the bridge.
Where though? There's no planks anywhere.
Do you know where it is?
Down
Well
past the
enough
swale,
to-
right?
Well enough to
Well,
describe?
there were, if they're all mired or gone. There was no bridge before.
Okay.
But Sudbury Valley Trustees has that in planning. We're actually having a work day this Saturday.
Yes, with the high school kids.
yeah.
though.
Yeah, but that's
Right.
the high school kid.
Yeah,
that's
and it's
trail
just
work.
the high school kids. We
But
have to.
Dan will be out there, and I'm betting if you want to swing by.
I'm not gonna be here this weekend.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll get.
we'll find out.
We'll get
No, I'll
further
get next
details
week.
and
Yeah.
and let you know.
One thing about that bridge is, and it's going to take a while to get the design process done and everything. It has to support horses.
Right, that's,
Because
and I know
that's-
how to do
that's a
that.
horse
Yeah, and Dan knows that.
He knows that too,
Yeah.
yeah, we talked to him about it.
Yeah, so it's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because usually just a pedestrian bridge is easier.
Yeah.
Yep.
that's
Was it
an
along
afternoon.
the north side? Cause that's where it's muddiest. It's not where the
The
existing.
north. I think it
bridge
is along the north side,
Okay.
right? Closer on the side of the
North.
project from towards
Yeah,
your
so-
house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Towards
north,
Maple.
westish. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where it's been muddiest.
Right,
Yeah.
north, yeah, that's, it's a lot wet over there, yeah.
Maybe Saturday I'll just walk that whole thing again and
Cool.
see if Dan will go.
We tried to avoid that area with the trails, but we couldn't because
Right.
it's wet everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like the path of least resistance, I think, what ended up happening.
It's been passable, just muddy.
Yeah, it'll, depending on, how much rain we get.
Right.
Michelle Balkan. A couple meetings ago, I had asked if there was going to be any communication with the Sudbury Conservation Committee, and you said you'd maybe see if you could help with, the question is, there's a fence behind our yard, and then a stone wall, and then what I understand to be the conservation area. My question was, like, the fence, is that, Highland Ridge, or is that the conservation? Sudbury? And
What number are you?
the reason, 12, but it's also 12, 14, 16, 18. There's like a whole row of us.
Where do you come in? Come in.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm asking
12, 14, 16.
Yeah.
is because there's a fence and there's a beautiful stone wall.
So what kind of fence?
Black chain link,
Okay.
which is fine.
Okay.
And there's this beautiful stone wall, which we don't have a view of, but that supports the retaining wall.
Yeah.
It's great, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. And my understanding is the landscapers have been told that that's not Highland Ridge. On the other side of I hope I'm being clear, on the other side of the black fence. So.
On the, so you're on this side, here's the fence, and then this side.
No, so here's us, here's the fence.
Yep.
This part, and then the big drop.
I have a drawing. You want to come up and?
Oh.
This doesn't mean anything to me.
I'm Italian, it means everything
Yep.
to me. This is how we do maps.
Are you talking between that and Highland,
Here's 12 and 14.
the road?
Sure.
That's
Right,
big?
so.
Sure. May I?
Just draw in where the fence is.
Okay,
remember
right
seeing
here. It's a black fence.
Right. And I think it's because it's so steep there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a
Very.
beautiful wall.
Yeah.
The question I have is, this property that is in front of the fence, and right behind these houses.
No.
So
Right,
I
so-
can't imagine that it's the conservation land. I believe strongly that it's
I
What difference does it make?
landscape.
because they won't do anything there.
Because they've been told, this is my understanding, they've been told that that's conservation land. So,
Either they have misunderstood what they've been told, or whoever told them misunderstands.
I did try to reach out to the Sudbury, but I hadn't heard back from, I
Okay.
was just gonna ask an innocent question, but
I thought it was
So there's
back-
land between the fence and the stone wall?
no.
Oh.
Okay.
And this is Campbell, so this
Oh, it's
is,
on the wall, okay.
right, so, and,
But it drops steep off,
And
and then
this is
there's,
where
is there a
that
trail
path
that goes
is.
down there? Is that towards the wells? Is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about?
no, so Holly, it's
Oh.
in between the houses and
Oh.
Highland.
Oh, okay.
That part,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Do we have a paper file of where the, of SVT's? I know we have digital files,
Yeah, I don't know if we have a paper
right?
copy of it.
I mean, I really have to think that the stone wall, which was built by Highland.
Right, well, even on, so on this plan that we have right here, it says limit of open space, and it's on the trail side
Yeah.
of the stone wall, not the house side of the stone wall. And the stone wall, I cannot imagine, is on SVT's land.
I believe that,
I believe that as well.
but I don't know that,
Right.
so.
Because SVT wouldn't have wanted to take possession of the stone wall.
Yeah.
They were pretty adamant about what all along around the site they
That would be
were
in the-
willing to take on.
Is Maddie, did you say Maddie's getting the plan? Oh,
Sorry, it looks like they're having their meeting and all the cameras are set
Oh.
up right in front of our filing cabinet.
Gotcha.
Anyway, this is small potatoes,
Yeah, but-
we just wanna,
Sure.
because they're not,
Landscaping there.
yeah, we must have that in the, not the CR, but we must have got the documents from SVT.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we have it digitally.
Yeah.
I just,
my other comment is last weekend, four-wheel.
four-wheelers for ATVs.
Very busy back there.
All right.
I had pictures.
If you could, send the pictures to us, that would be great.
We did not put signs in that particular area, I
Yep,
don't think.
because the police chief actually checked in with me.
They were not going fast.
It
Doesn't
doesn't matter.
matter.
I know,
I mean, I'm glad they weren't going
I'm
fast.
just letting you
That,
know, they were not reckless, they were,
right.
Is that like an EPO thing?
Ha.
Called out to deal with
Don't
it?
even get me started.
But I don't think they have any signs posted about.
You did put some
We
signs
put
out.
some out.
Were there?
SVT put some out, and we put, the
Because
town
I
put
think
some out.
We should put out
We,
the
we went
signs
together,
that-
but it depended upon where they were entering. Were they entering
Yeah, they were coming from.
on town
Carter.
property, or were they entering on SVT property?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they say no motorized
Highland
vehicles.
Street.
But we did not cover
It
this,
doesn't show the wall.
so
Yeah.
it's that section
It
behind
does look like.
your house. We
Almost
did
in
not
spot.
put signs.
there's a big tree down. There's a big sign.
There's a tree down, but ATVs would never be able to get up that hill. On the Campbell side.
Oh my God.
I did see ATVs. Other side, the forest.
We put your rotation.
Yeah.
It's unclear to me where the ATVs were.
Right.
Were they
because that's
behind
the
your house?
trail.
Yes, I've got, I mean.
And the trail's not even
Yeah, there was a
shown on
sign there
here.
already.
Yes, there is a sign.
That's right. We didn't put one up there because there was already one there.
So this is this house.
Yeah.
So
Is there a
soon
dimension,
obsolete
though,
smart.
anywhere from the house?
don't see any, no.
Or is it routine?
No, there have been others. That's why we went out and put up the
That
sign.
gets
You know what I do?
Because
I
there were already
find myself doing
complaints.
this on paper.
So now they're
Which side
they're
is it
just
on?
in a different area, or
It's
maybe
right
they're
here. Oh,
everywhere.
where are the four-wheelers? My guess is back here, but, all right. And where were the four-wheelers?
Right behind Campbell.
Right?
Oh, so down here.
Oh, so on that trail?
Yeah.
Oh. So behind Highland Street.
Oh.
Yeah, that's before this all started, that, I know where they all went, that's where a lot of the kids, they would go there.
Okay.
Up and then, yeah, I know. And I know they'll go up over the other side and towards Coburn.
The police chief asked me to change those signs, by the way, so I don't know if we're gonna have more printed or
Change them.
to not say contact the police department, contact the town. It's not police property, it's the town's property, so contact the town.
So so we do have the plan, but there's no dimensions on it, but it also doesn't show the stone wall. But
But I know when they surveyed it, they were very particular about.
yes.
What's
Can
theirs.
you, Maddie, email Laura
I don't know
Matai
what's marked.
and see if she
When SVT took it. They were very
has something
particular about
showing
any-
which side
they
of that
talked
stone
to me,
wall.
They didn't want to have anything to do with that, and they not.
Well, to make it easier, yeah.
For them, but they didn't want to be responsible for something.
So who at the town would?
Town administrator, town assistant, D? Did they
Okay.
give you a phone number? AJ? Or they just said contact the town? That would be my best.
He said the sign can't refer them to the police department because the police department doesn't own the property.
Then, yeah, probably
But the
just
police
give-
department doesn't own any property,
It's not town property then?
right?
Dr. Eric,
Yeah.
All right.
Talk to
he's a
Eric,
good
but-
guy, he'll listen.
But yeah, more
Yep.
than likely, you're probably gonna have to reference it to the town administrator's assistant,
Mhm.
and then she'll filter as needed. We owned those for a while, it was a lot of fun.
I'm such a terrible speller. And it's worse now that autofill and
Oh, yeah.
autocorrect and
Yep.
auto-suggest and, yeah.
Not having to think.
Yeah, right.
And then AI.
Okay.
I'll have it right here for you.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm not
Thank you.
complaining about that.
I do.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night.
You too. Is there anything else
Take care
that
of that.
anybody has that they would like to discuss?
I won't be here for the next meeting.
Okay.
I don't think I'll be here for the next meeting either,
You'll be here for the next one.
not the one after.
Correct.
I
The
forget.
15th,
Correct.
right?
Okay.
You'll be here for the 15th, which is
Okay.
our next
You
meeting.
will be here for the 15th.
Right.
Yes, I will.
I won't.
When do you leave for Florida?
End of December, so I'll be here for the December meetings.
Right, we are only gonna have one
When-
December.
Is that the first one or the second one?
The first one.
Doesn't matter, I'll be here
Right,
for both.
yeah,
So
the second
whatever.
one, I will not be
Oh, okay.
around.
You'll be in Italy, right?
I will be in Italy.
Can we make a motion to not have that meeting, since we have time?
The December 22nd, we've already canceled that meeting.
Oh, it's already all
Yeah, we
set? I don't
canceled it
remember that.
months ago.
Okay,
Yep.
that's my fault.
Yep,
Should
no,
pay
that's
better
all right.
attention.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say it.
So AJ and I went out with Maddie last night to owl banding.
Did you find any more of those little owls?
7 owls.
Yep.
Just saying.
We got.
Did you touch one?
I touched several.
Really?
I patted it, and
name
Maddie
them?
let me release a couple, and they were so cool. I'll show you the pictures after the meeting ends, but yeah.
They're so tiny.
I know, I can't believe how tiny
So we're gonna
they are.
try again tomorrow night, if anyone's interested.
All right.
How long do they hang out till?
Wood turners.
So we
Yeah.
hang out from 7 to 10. And then-
No, like how long, they're not here all winter, right?
No,
They're
well,
migrating.
some might hang out for the winter.
Oh, if they find enough.
Yeah, it seems.
If it's a mild enough winter.
Yep.
The barn owls have definitely been
Oh yeah, starting to claim all their territory.
claiming territory.
Yep.
So where are you gonna be tomorrow night?
Acre Woods.
Okay.
Yep. So
You going?
right off of Ball Hill.
And the pizza comes
Oh,
at
it's-
9:30, right?
I know, I
Yeah.
I might have to,
That'll
how
get
long,
'em out.
like, how
Right.
long did it take you to get any? Oh.
Any other business? I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:33 PM.
Second.
Third.
Non-debatable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Meeting's closed.